Hello and welcome back to Blow Up the Team. Jeremy here today with Matt
What's up?
and also some spectators. So I guess we'll see how long it takes before one of them says a stupid thing in the chat that I have to react to. But today we are going to be going over the New York Giants draft. But real quick before we get into the video, any highlight clips that I play will be linked in the description down below. So go ahead and make sure to check that out. Um, but let's start off by talking about the 2019 New York Giants. 4-12. It was a little bit of a rough season for the G-men. Yeah, I mean I don't really know how else to put it. It was just not.
It was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. Saquon Barkley was injured at certain points as well, which doesn't help. I mean, you
Yeah,
obviously know
he
you
didn't
have
look like
a
himself.
you have an MVP caliber talent on that team, which is saying a lot because running backs never win MVP. But I'm just gonna say it. If a running back is going to win it, I feel like he has a chance to do it. Him or Christian McCaffrey. Except for they're both stuck on trash teams, so I'm sensing a theme here. Anyways,
Daniel
um,
Jones either looks like the next coming of God or he looks like Jameis Winston, which is ironically enough how Jameis Winston looks in any given start.
very valid point. Very valid point. I actually have no issues with that statement at all. Actually,
Jameis Winston, I swear to God, it's like the most disappointing thing because he could be so amazing if he just.
was
Never mind.
smarter with the football.
I'm beating dead horse at this point.
Okay. Anyways, offense. They were only 23rd in yards per game, 18th through the air, and 19th on the ground. Now, I do think that the 19th on the ground would have been improved if Saquon had been healthy throughout the whole season and if they had an existent offensive line. Offensive line has been a notable issue for the Giants over the past few years, and this year was not that much of an exception, if it was even an exception at all. I'm going to be honest with you, but um, hopefully they will be able to straighten that up going into next season. They were 19th in points scored as well, so they were kind of unable to put up some points, and I think you're kind of seeing why this team wound up at 4-12. This offseason, they signed Cody Core to be wide receiver 4, as well as Colt McCoy to be backup quarterback. With Eli Manning retiring, they needed another veteran guy to step in there. Colt McCoy fit the bill, so that makes a lot of sense there. And they just kind of needed overall depth at the wide receiver position, so that's the Cody Core pickup. They also signed Dion Lewis to be RB2 behind Saquon, which I think makes a lot of sense. Be able to have somebody that you can put in there, especially somebody that'll be kind of productive with the football, but he's going to protect the football well, is that Saquon can actually come off the field and breathe for once in his life.
Not
Uh,
allowed.
he's allowed. He's actually, after all, human, even though he doesn't necessarily look like it all
No,
the
no, no.
time.
He's the next. He's gonna be no.
Okay. We got a delusional Giants fan here. Hey, buddy, what's the Giants record for next season? Predict it. Come on then.
Oh God, at best, I'm gonna say 7-9. At best.
Oh, not a delusional Giants fan. We respect
No, no,
that about you.
no. Genuinely, I think that this season they'll look significantly better because they'll have an offensive line somewhat, and I think next season, like the season after this season, is when they start looking threatening if they can put it together.
As long as Daniel Jones can not be Jameis Winston.
This is true.
Um, Moving on to the defense, they were 25th in yards allowed per game, 28th through the air, and 20th on the ground, giving up the third most points per game in the league. So they didn't have a great offense, coupled with a even more suspect defense, and all of a sudden you're at a 4-12 football team. Um, they did sign James Bradbury to start at cornerback, as well as Blake Martinez to start at linebacker. Just some kind of a couple moving pieces along that defense. Not as many as I was expecting, to be honest. Although I do know that they kind of just had they kind of had talent rotating in and out for a few years, so they just had a little bit less influx than outflux this year. Um, anyways, uh, they made 10 picks in this year's draft. The most notable, I think, was the first round pick, which created a lot of controversy. Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Um, I mean, I don't really know what the controversy was. He's got great length and good
Straight up,
size.
straight up, yeah. Giants fans, I think, have just gotten too used to being depressed, and like they're just like expecting it to be worse than it actually is, and they're just looking for problems.
I mean,
Like. genuinely, it's not a bad pick.
Not at all. He's got great length and good size. He's got good quickness, and he's actually kind of surprisingly mobile. He's a great pass blocker with good strength, and kind of looking at intangibles, he plays through the whistle, and he blocks especially hard in the run game, which is something that you love to see with somebody like Saquon to turn around and hand the ball off to. And he can line up on either side of the line. He is currently slated to start at right tackle, but I don't understand why Giants fans hated this pick so much. I personally really like it. I think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. But I guess who am I to judge, right? Moving on, we have Xavier McKinney, safety out of Alabama, in the second round here. He had the most pure talent of any safety in the draft this year. He's versatile, he's got good instincts, and he's got good power as a tackler. He reads the play quickly, and he can make a play on the ball even if he's initially in off coverage. And he's also aggressive in run support and knows how to fill holes with good hitting power. He's slated to start at free safety this season, which I think he's going to be a good versatile piece for that defense. He should be able to step up and make plays in both assets of defense and run defense and through the air. He has potential to make impact everywhere. So I really like this pick. I think he's going to be able to kind of heighten the level of that defense. Obviously, they've got to continue to put pieces around him. One player does not make a defense. But I think that they're starting to build younger, get some talented guys in there, and I think that he'll be a big part of that. Next up, we've got another offensive tackle. This one out of UConn, Matt Peart. He has good size, speed, and length. He's shown lots of positive flashes, but he still needs to work on his technique, especially his hand placement and pass protection. He does show good effort, and he can play on either side of the line, so in that flexibility that they're going to need. And he's currently listed as a backup behind fellow rookie Andrew Thomas, their first-round pick. I think that they just needed overall depth here. I think that this pick still makes sense. You're going to need pick on both sides of the line. He's got flexibility to be able to play on either side. And if he can kind of refine some of that technique, there's no reason why he shouldn't be a viable starter at a tackle slot within a few seasons, in my opinion. Next up, we've got Darnay Holmes, cornerback out of UCLA. He's a bit undersized, but he's got decent speed. And he closes well on passes in front of him. He's got flashes of good stopping power, as well as awareness in zone coverage. But he's unfortunately just a bit undersized to play outside, but also not quite quick enough, especially laterally or in quick direction change situations to be a nickel corner. He also has a tendency to get beat over top. So this is one of the picks that I kind of highlighted as a big question mark for me. He's listed as a fourth-string cornerback, and in my opinion, I feel like there was better talent available here. Obviously, I'm not a pro scout, so what the hell do I know? The answer, not a whole heck of a lot. But it felt to me like they probably could have gotten another guy, even at the cornerback spot, who would have been a more ready plug-and-play type player. Not that they necessarily would have been ready to start necessarily this season, but I feel like they could have found guys with better, more clear potential at this point in the draft. Still early in the fourth round. This seems like a really their only really questionable pick to me. Next up, we've got Shane Lemieux, offensive guard out of Oregon. He has enough power to hold his ground even against power rushers. He's effective in run blocking with the quickness and strength to create a push. He also shows great character with his ability to lead, as well as and he shows that flexibility that they're going to be looking for as well. He's currently listed as both a left guard and a center. Backup left guard and center, excuse me. Next up, we've got Cam Brown, outside linebacker out of Penn State. He's tall with good length, and he can play inside or outside. He's got average playing speed, but he shows good effort, as well as showing flashes of stopping power. But he unfortunately does have seem to be a little bit inconsistent tackling and finishing the play. He is also looking to be a little bit limited in coverage, and I did not see him currently listed on the depth charts. So not somebody that's going to be ready to play this season. Perhaps in another couple of seasons, they could see him develop into somebody um, that will be able to potentially make that impact. Maybe even on special teams, you could see him step up, make an impact. But that is going to remain to be seen. Next up, we've got Carter Coughlin, outside linebacker out of Minnesota. He had a great combine. He's got good upper body strength and he can control tight ends on the line. And he's got good recovery speed. Now he is better as a pass rusher than as a coverage linebacker. Um, and he's listed as a third string linebacker. I don't necessarily know that he's ready to make that huge impact and step up and make those huge plays for them this season. But I would expect that he's got the potential to become an effective pass rusher over time. And to keep an eye on how he develops with more time training at the pro level. Next up, we've got T.J. Brunson, inside linebacker out of South Carolina. He fights hard in between the tackles, as well as he shows promise in interior run defense. He tackles well, but he doesn't quite have the speed or the range to get outside, even in run defense. And there's concerns about his ability to stick coverage at the next level. He's currently listed as another third string linebacker. Next up, we've got Chris Williamson, quarterback out of Minnesota. He's got good size, but less than average length. He's a safety / nickelback who locates the ball well and can break up passes. He's tough in run defense and wraps up well, and he can play close to the line of scrimmage if needed. Now he's also not currently listed on the depth charts, but I would say he shows decent enough potential in the mid 7th round here that I'm not too mad at the pick. But it will remain to be seen on how he develops. And their final pick of the draft was Tay Crowder, inside linebacker out of Georgia. He's got good size and length. He did only move to linebacker midway through 2016. So definitely still kind of working on developing that defensive mind. He reads the QB well, and he shows decent enough instincts in underneath coverage. He also flashes some range in run defense, and he's currently listed as a third string inside linebacker. So definitely a lot of, especially down towards the end of the draft there in the 7th round, quite a few depth chart fillers, which I think kind of makes sense. Was something that this team was desperately needing. Just overall talent on the roster and guys that they can look to try to develop going forward. They definitely have gotten to a point where they need that young talent that they can continue to build around, and that explains the sheer number of picks in this draft. Now, I did mention earlier I did feel that there was a couple, maybe not a couple. It was really only the one pick that I felt that they really missed on, but I think that overall they gave themselves some young guys that they can continue to build around, and I think that overall the draft went pretty well for them. Do you have anything that you would like to say, Matt?
No, I think they drafted really smart, and I think it's definitely going to be a step up, a huge step in the right direction for them. And, and this is going to be a lot of guys who get a chance to develop over the course of this season, and they drafted where they needed it most. And so I'm really excited to watch this Giants team because, no, I don't expect them to be, playoff contenders. It still looks like they're finally building towards a competent team again, which is just nice. So.
I agree. I mean, I'm obviously an Eagles fan, so sorry not rooting for them, but I'm tired of seeing them be so terrible for so many years as well. So it will be interesting to see kind of how they pull it together in the next few seasons. Now, in terms of a draft grade for them, real quick note: this is only a draft grade, not an off-season grade, so only based on the draft, nothing else. Despite those kind of more questionable picks down towards the bottom, I don't think that I'm gonna weight them too heavily on the 7th round picks. And in terms of that 4th round pick that I feel perhaps could have gone another direction, I think that there are other picks that were there other kind of higher priority picks. It went well enough that I'm still gonna look at giving this team an A- for their draft. I do think that they could have, pushed it to an A or an A plus. I think an A plus would have been hard to get to, but an A, I think, all that would have really been needed was if they had just, in my opinion, taken a little bit of a safer pick, um, uh, instead of that cornerback in the fourth round. I feel like perhaps I could have thrown them over the edge, but I mean, maybe I'm completely asleep on this guy. Maybe he's going to be, the next lockdown corner of the league. Obviously, I have no idea. I can only go off of what I'm reading, but in my opinion, I think that was the one thing that really stopped this draft from being like elite level. Do you have an opinion, Giants fan? I'm trying to give you more chances this time. You are the Giants fan.
No, I agree. I told you coming into this. Like I think it's an A minus to A for me, and I agree. So.
Alrighty. Well, then, with that being said, I think that is going to wrap it up for us for today. Again, make sure to check out that highlights video in the description down below. I'll make sure to leave the link there. Also in the description down below, check out our Discord as well as our social media. Those will also be linked. Make sure to come back tomorrow when Matt goes to the Washington Nationals. Matt, are you excited?
Yes, Sam. Top of the defending world champs.
I still can't believe they won that World Series, by the way.
Absolutely insane.
Um,
It's even sweeter that they did it against the Astros.
well, there you go. Astros got what was coming to them. But I think with all of that being said, that'll be it for us for today. And we will see you next time. Peace.